What if the rules that keep the universe in balance weren't just fragile, but easily broken? Imagine for a moment that everything you know about fate, destiny, and power, everything you thought was inviolable, could be torn apart by one decision, one misstep. What would happen if someone with godlike power decided to defy those rules? It sounds like madness, right? But that's exactly what happens when Thanos, the Mad Titan, decides to break the very laws and hold the fabric of reality together. You probably heard about Thanos before, his snap, his quest for the Infinity Stones, the destruction he caused. But what if I told you there's a side of him you've never seen before? A side that goes beyond destruction. A side that unleashes chaos in ways that even he couldn't predict. In this video, I'm going to take you on a journey that'll change everything you thought you knew about Thanos. Trust me, you're about to witness something that will completely shatter your expectations. Now, I know what you're thinking. What's so different about this story? Haven't we seen enough of Thanos and his madness? Well, I'm here to tell you that you've never seen Thanos like this before. The rules that govern everything, time, space, and even death itself, aren't just something Thanos bends to fit his will. In this story, he rips them apart. You're about to see what happens when a being of his power decides a universe isn't enough, when he wants more than what even the most powerful forces in existence can provide. And the scariest part? It's already too late. Once those rules are broken, there's no going back. There's no rewinding time, no fixing things, no easy way out. What unfolds next is a series of events so catastrophic that even Thanos may not be able to control it. But here's the kicker. This isn't just about Thanos. This is about all of us, our place in the universe, how fragile our reality is, and how quickly everything can spiral out of control when the right balance is disrupted. And here's the thing. You're going to get the answer to a question you've been asking for years. What happens when Thanos breaks the rules? What comes next? How do the forces of the universe react when the Mad Titan goes rogue? You'll want to stay tuned, because by the end of this video, everything you think you know about Thanos and the MCU will be flipped upside down. You'll see a side of Thanos that might make you question whether he's truly a villain or something far more dangerous. I'm not going to spoil it now, but trust me when I say, you don't want to miss what happens next. Stick with me until the end, because what I'm about to show you will leave you questioning everything. Now, as the chaos unfolds, something even darker is rising. Something no one, not even Thanos, could have ever anticipated. The rules are broken and the damage is already done. But what happens when the universe tries to fight back? Thanos thinks he's in control, but in reality, no one is. The clock is ticking, and it's already too late. What happens when the universe itself becomes the greatest enemy? Stay tuned. The truth is just beginning to unravel. As Thanos stands in the heart of an empty cosmos, something in his eyes has changed. The snap, the destruction, the endless power he wielded, none of it was enough. Something deeper now stirs inside him. For years, the universe bent his will. He reshaped it. He snapped it into a new order. But the aftermath of that catastrophic event, the consequences he never truly anticipated, are beginning to settle in like a storm cloud, and it's not a storm he can control. His last quest for the Infinity Stones was meant to bring balance, to rid the universe of what he saw as unnecessary destruction. Yet, the aftermath of his actions left him questioning his true place in the grand scheme of things. Was he a savior, or was he just another part of the cycle of chaos, doomed to repeat his mistakes over and over again? But recently he's felt unsettled. His mind has been consumed with doubts, whispers from the far corners of existence. It wasn't just the universe that had been affected by the snap. It was him. Those moments of power, those fleeting seconds when he felt in control, they had burned through his psyche, igniting a deep desire for something beyond what any god could ever understand. For the first time in centuries, Thanos is no longer the Titan who simply seeks balance. He's a broken force, a creature filled with rage and confusion, questioning whether there is truly an end to his journey, or if the universe itself has more to offer than what he has already claimed. What he doesn't realize is that by seeking to break the rules, he's just begun to play a dangerous game, a game where the stakes are higher than any god could have anticipated. As Thanos plunges deeper into forbidden realms, he isn't the only one who senses something shifting. A shadow lurks in the periphery, someone who's watched him closely since the beginning, someone who has always been in the background, manipulating events. You might think you know who this is, but do you? Could it be someone like the Collector, who has always thrived on chaos and unpredictable power? Or perhaps someone who's even closer to Thanos, someone with their own agenda, someone who wants to seize control of the fractured universe of themselves? The reality is, there are forces at play that Thanos cannot even begin to comprehend. There are whispers in the dark, figures moving in the shadows, each with their own agenda, each waiting for the perfect moment to strike. You see, as Thanos grows more reckless, more consumed by his desire for ultimate control, the very fabric of the universe begins to react. Unexpectedly, events that were once considered impossible are now occurring one after another. Galaxies are collapsing. The laws of time are warping. Strange ripples are forming across the cosmos, as if something is trying to break free from a place where it was never meant to be. It's as though the universe is aware of the imbalance, aware of the danger Thanos poses by breaking the rules. But what does this mean for him? For the cosmos? Is the universe itself fighting back? Or is something far more sinister at play? With every decision Thanos makes, the tension grows tighter, the sense of inevitability even more oppressive. And as the clock ticks down, more and more entities begin to take notice. One of them might seem like an ally, perhaps a familiar face we've seen before, but is it? Is this person who they say they are, or do they have something far darker planned? A deeper, more twisted connection to Thanos than anyone could have imagined? And then there's the ever-growing suspicion that Thanos is not as invulnerable as he once believed. Could it be that his greatest weakness has been hiding in plain sight all along? The deeper Thanos goes, the more dangerous this game becomes. Every action, every rule he breaks, only adds to the spiral of destruction he's creating. And here's the truth. No one is in control, not him, not anyone. The universe itself seems to be crumbling under the weight of what's happening, as if reality itself can no longer take the strain. But who is truly behind it? Who is pulling the strings? The answers are not as clear as they might seem. Stay with me, because everything you thought you knew about the power of Thanos, and the true cost of breaking the rules, is about to shatter. As Thanos delves deeper into the mystery, something strange begins to happen. The very universe that once seemed to bend to his will now seems to be pushing back in ways he can't understand. One moment, he's standing at the edge of the universe, staring into the void. The next, a key piece of information he's gathered, something crucial, something that could lead him closer to understanding what's truly happening, vanishes. It's gone, like it was never there. He scours every corner of his domain, tearing apart every piece of data, but the clues he's been following simply disappear. It's not a mistake. It's intentional. Something or someone has erased it, and the implications are far more terrifying than he's willing to admit. Frustration gnaws at him, but it's not the only thing stirring inside him. A quiet voice, when he's long ignored, begins to echo in his mind. It's not just the universe at play here. Something is watching him. Something knows what he's searching for, and it doesn't want him to find it. The idea settles in his gut like a stone, cold and heavy. Could someone or something be deliberately pulling the strings? Could there be forces at play that are far more dangerous than even he can comprehend? His allies, the ones who have stood by him in the past, are no longer what they once seemed. Some are growing distant, acting strange, as if they know something he doesn't. There's a subtle tension in the air, a feeling that not everything is as it appears. Thanos begins to question whether the people around him are really on his side. One particular figure, someone who has been by his side through countless battles, starts to act more evasive, more secretive. At first, it's small things, an unread message, a half-formed excuse, an odd look when their eyes meet. But the doubts begin to pile up, and Thanos can't ignore them any longer. Could this person be hiding something from him? Could they be playing a game of their own, using him to achieve some goal of their own? The deeper Thanos digs, the more the lines between friend and foe blur. One night, as he pushes his limits in an attempt to find the missing information, a shadowy figure appears. It's an unexpected visitor, someone who knows far too much about Thanos' mission. They speak in riddles, hinting at something that should never have been uncovered. But before Thanos can extract any real answers, the figure vanishes into the darkness, leaving behind nothing but an unsettling warning. Stop digging, Titan. You're not ready for what you'll find. The words hang in the air like a curse, and for the first time in years, Thanos feels something unfamiliar, a sense of fear. Not the kind that comes from battle or loss, but a deeper, more primal kind. It's the fear of the unknown, the fear of losing control, of not knowing who he can trust. Could it be that everything he's done, every step he's taken, has been a part of a much larger plan? Is there something or someone orchestrating all this? It's a question that burns in his mind as he watches his surroundings grow more and more chaotic. The universe isn't just cracking under the strain of his actions. It's actively fighting back. Every piece of evidence he uncovers only leads to more questions, more dead ends. Nothing is making sense, and the pieces don't fit together. The warning echoes louder in his mind, but the thirst for truth, for answers, grows stronger. The deeper he goes, the more he realizes that he might have already crossed a line he can never return from. But who exactly is waiting at the end of this twisted path? And why are they so desperate to keep him from discovering the truth? The answers are just out of reach. But one thing is clear. The universe is shifting, and something far more dangerous than Thanos could ever imagine is on the horizon. And then, as he prepares to take the next step, something even more shocking happens. The unexpected happens. An ally he trusted completely turns on him, revealing an alliance with forces darker than anything Thanos has ever faced before. And in that moment, the rules are no longer just broken. They're being rewritten. But who's rewriting them, and for what purpose? The truth is closer than ever. But will Thanos survive the revelation? Or has it already gone too far? As the tension continues to mount, it becomes clear that Thanos isn't the only one being pulled into the web of uncertainty. Far across the galaxy, someone else, someone whose path has intertwined with Thanos for longer than either of them would like to admit, receives a message. It's an encrypted transmission, an anonymous warning that chills the bones. The sender's identity is untraceable, their intent unclear, but the message is unmistakable. You're being watched. The truth you seek is dangerous, more dangerous than you realize. Stop now before it's too late. The warning, much like the ones Thanos received, carries an air of finality, an unspoken threat that sends a cold wave through their veins. This isn't just about Thanos anymore. It's about something far bigger, something that stretches beyond their understanding of the universe itself. The person who receives this warning isn't just any bystander. They've crossed paths with Thanos before, a person who's always been close to him, yet somehow remains a mystery, a figure who has served as both an ally and, in many ways, a potential adversary. They've always played the game from the shadows, operating with their own agenda, their own goals. Their connection to Thanos runs deeper than mere coincidence. It's as if their fates have been entwined in ways neither of them can fully comprehend. But the warning changes everything. The fact that someone else, someone connected to Thanos, has received the same chilling message raises more questions than answers. Who could possibly know about their shared history? And what does this mean for the larger plot that's been set into motion? As these events unfold, something else comes to light. A fragment of an ancient text, something that was thought to be long lost in the forgotten corners of the universe, suddenly reappears. It contradicts everything Thanos thought he knew. The ancient prophecy, once dismissed as mere legend, speaks of a catastrophic event, a moment when the very rules of the cosmos would be shattered and rebuilt. This isn't just a vague warning, though. It's a direct reference to Thanos himself. The text speaks of a titan of ruin who will break the universal balance, causing a ripple effect that will awaken forces older and more powerful than anyone can control. It's not a prediction. It's a direct call-out. The more Thanos reads, the more he realizes the pieces are falling into place, but not in the way he ever imagined. Could he have been the one set in motion to destroy the very order he sought to preserve? The uncertainty tightens around him like a noose, and the universe feels more like a trap with each passing moment. Meanwhile, back with the person who received the anonymous warning, they begin to dig deeper, unable to ignore the mounting pressure to understand what's truly happening. But the more they uncover, the darker the situation becomes. A hidden betrayal, one that was once thought buried in the past, starts to resurface. An old ally, someone who once stood by their side, is revealed to have been working against them the entire time. It's a betrayal so deep, so intricate, that it leaves them questioning everything they once believed about loyalty and trust. The true scope of this conspiracy begins to emerge in terrifying fragments. As Thanos delves deeper into the mystery, something strange begins to happen. The very universe that once seemed to bend to his will now seems to be pushing back in ways he can't understand. One moment, he's standing at the edge of the universe, staring into the void. The next, a key piece of information he's gathered, something crucial, something that could lead him closer to understanding what's truly happening, vanishes. It's gone, like it was never there. He scours every corner of his domain, tearing apart every piece of data, but the clues he's been following simply disappear. It's not a mistake. It's intentional. Something or someone has erased it, and the implications are far more terrifying than he's willing to admit. Frustration gnaws at him, but it's not the only thing stirring inside him. A quiet voice, one he's long ignored, begins to echo in his mind. It's not just the universe at play here. Something is watching him. Something knows what he's searching for, and it doesn't want him to find it. The idea settles in his gut like a stone, cold and heavy. Could someone, or something, be deliberately pulling the strings? Could there be forces at play that are far more dangerous than even he can comprehend? His allies, the ones who stood by him in the past, are no longer what they once seemed. Some are growing distant, acting strange, as if they know something he doesn't. There's a subtle tension in the air, a feeling that not everything is as it appears. Thanos begins to question whether people around him are really on his side. One particular figure, someone who's been by his side through countless battles, starts to act more evasive, more secretive. At first, it's small things, an unread message, a half-formed excuse, an odd look when their eyes meet. But the doubts begin to pile up, and Thanos can't ignore them any longer. Could this person be hiding something from him? Could they be playing a game of their own, using him to achieve some goal of their own? The deeper Thanos digs, the more the lines between friend and foe blur. One night, as he pushes his limits in an attempt to find the missing information, a shadowy figure appears. It's an unexpected visitor, someone who knows far too much about Thanos' mission. They speak in riddles, hinting at something that should never have been uncovered. But before Thanos can extract any real answers, the figure vanishes into the darkness, leaving behind nothing but an unsettling warning. Stop digging, Titan. You're not ready for what you'll find. The words hang in the air like a curse, and for the first time in years, Thanos feels something unfamiliar, a sense of fear. Not the kind that comes from battle or loss, but a deeper, more primal kind. It's the fear of the unknown, the fear of losing control, of not knowing who he can trust. Could it be that everything he's done, every step he's taken, has been a part of a much larger plan? Is there something or someone orchestrating all of this? It's a question that burns his mind as he watches his surroundings grow more and more chaotic. The universe isn't just cracking under the strain of his actions. It's actively fighting back. Every piece of evidence he uncovers only leads to more questions, more dead ends. Nothing is making sense, and the pieces don't fit together. The warning echoes louder in his mind, but the thirst for truth, for answers, grows stronger. The deeper he goes, the more he realizes that he might have already crossed a line he can never return from. But who exactly is waiting at the end of this twisted path? And why are they so desperate to keep him from discovering the truth? The answers are just out of reach, but one thing is clear. The universe is shifting, and something far more dangerous than Thanos could ever imagine is on the horizon. And then, as he prepares to take the next step, something even more shocking happens. The unexpected happens. An ally he trusted completely turns on him, revealing an alliance with forces darker than anything Thanos has ever faced before. And in that moment, the rules are no longer just broken. They're being rewritten. But who's rewriting them, and for what purpose? The truth is closer than ever. But will Thanos survive the revelation, or has it already gone too far? As the tension continues to mount, it becomes clear that Thanos isn't the only one being pulled into the web of uncertainty. Far across the galaxy, someone else, someone whose path has intertwined with Thanos for longer than either of them would like to admit, receives a message. It's an encrypted transmission, an anonymous warning that chills the bones. The sender's identity is untraceable, their intent unclear, but the message is unmistakable. You're being watched. The truth you seek is dangerous, more dangerous than you realize. Stop now before it's too late. The warning, much like the ones Thanos received, carries an air of finality, an unspoken threat that sends a cold wave through their veins. This isn't just about Thanos anymore. It's about something far bigger, something that stretches beyond their understanding of the universe itself. The person who receives this warning isn't just any bystander. They've crossed paths with Thanos before, a person who's always been close to him, yet somehow remains a mystery, a figure who has served as both an ally and, in many ways, a potential adversary. They've always played the game from the shadows, operating with their own agenda, their own goals. Their connection to Thanos runs deeper than mere coincidence. It's as if their fates have been entwined in ways neither of them can fully comprehend. But the warning changes everything. The fact that someone else, someone connected to Thanos, has received the same chilling message raises more questions than answers. Who could possibly know about their shared history? And what does this mean for the larger plot that's been set into motion? As these events unfold, something else comes to light, a fragment of an ancient text, something that was thought to be long lost in forgotten corners of the universe, suddenly reappears. It contradicts everything Thanos thought he knew. The ancient prophecy, once dismissed as mere legend, speaks of a catastrophic event, a moment when the very rules of the cosmos will be shattered and rebuilt. This isn't just a vague warning, though. It's a direct reference to Thanos himself. The text speaks of a titan of ruin who will break the universal balance, causing a ripple effect that will awaken forces older and more powerful than anyone can control. It's not a prediction, it's a direct call-out. The more Thanos reads, the more he realizes the pieces are falling into place, but not in the way he ever imagined. Could he have been the one set in motion to destroy the very order he sought to preserve? The uncertainty tightens around him like a noose, and the universe feels more like a trap with each passing moment. Meanwhile, back with the person who received the anonymous warning, they begin to dig deeper, unable to ignore the mounting pressure to understand what's truly happening. But the more they uncover, the darker the situation becomes. A hidden betrayal, one that was once thought buried in the past, starts to resurface. An old ally, someone who once stood by their side, is revealed to have been working against them the entire time. It's a betrayal so deep, so intricate, that it leaves them questioning everything they once believed about loyalty and trust. The true scope of this conspiracy begins to emerge in terrifying fragments, each piece of evidence leading them into deeper danger. It's not just about Thanos anymore. It's about an entire web of deceit, manipulation, and power struggles that stretch across the very fabric of reality. The closer they get to the truth, the more dangerous the journey becomes. The conspiracy is much larger than Thanos, much larger than anyone could have imagined. As both Thanos and his unexpected allies struggle to piece together the crumbling puzzle, an undeniable truth begins to form. They're not the only players in this game. There are others waiting in the shadows, manipulating events, twisting realities, and driving everyone toward a cataclysmic end. Thanos is no longer just facing an unraveling universe. He's facing an enemy that is as hidden as it is dangerous, and one whose motives are as unclear as the storm that's now brewing in the distance. And then, just when it seems like they might have uncovered something substantial, a final, shocking twist changes everything once more. An event unfolds that sends the entire mission spiraling, an unexpected revelation that renders everything they thought they knew about the truth completely irrelevant. At this point, the universe feels more like a prison, and every step taken feels like it might be the last one before everything is swallowed by the chaos. The stakes have never been higher, and the walls are closing in. But what's the real danger here? Is it Thanos' quest for control, or is something far more terrifying just waiting to be unleashed? Every step forward leads to more questions, and with every answer comes a deeper mystery. What are the true motives of the people Thanos once trusted? And who is behind all of this, pulling the strings and orchestrating events from the shadows? The story is far from over, and the answers might be more terrifying than Thanos and the universe can ever handle. The cold emptiness of space is often thought of as a silent, indifferent void. But for Thanos, it feels more like a living nightmare now. The weight of his past decisions is no longer just a burden. It's a constant presence, pressing down on him, suffocating him. The puzzle pieces that once seemed to fit together are now scattered, slipping through his fingers like sand. And with each passing moment, the sense of impending doom grows stronger. Something is closing in on him. Something far more dangerous than he could have ever imagined. He had thought he was the one pulling the strings, the one orchestrating the chaos of the universe, but now it feels as though he's simply a pawn in someone else's game. The thought chills him more than he's willing to admit. It begins with a feeling, subtle at first, like a whisper at the back of his mind. Someone is watching him. It's not just paranoia. It's a sharp, gnawing sense that he's being tracked, followed. He can't shake the feeling that every move he makes is being observed, analyzed, and calculated. But when he tries to look for signs, to find something concrete, there's nothing, just the cold, indifferent stars stretching endlessly before him. Nothing that gives him the proof he needs. But it's there. He can feel it in his gut, that gnawing uncertainty. The universe, the same one that once bent to his will, now seems to be turning against him. It's as if something or someone has been waiting for him to break, to reveal his deepest fears, and now that it's happening, they are ready to strike. The first real sign comes when someone close to him disappears. Just like that, gone. No warning, no explanation, nothing left behind but a shattered sense of trust. A close ally, someone who has been by his side through thick and thin, has vanished without a trace. One moment they're there, the next they're not. No trace of a struggle, no message, no clue to their whereabouts. Thanos searches, pulls every string, and uses every resource he has, but it's as if the universe itself is conspiring to keep him from finding answers. It's unnerving, the silence that follows their disappearance. The emptiness left in their absence feels like a gaping hole, one that he can't fill, no matter how hard he tries. It forces him to confront a terrifying truth. Someone is playing this game far better than he ever could, and now he's the one being hunted. The paranoia begins to take root, seeping into his every thought, every action. It's no longer just about uncovering the truth. It's about survival. Thanos is no longer in control of his fate. The constant feeling of being watched grows into an obsession. He begins to question everyone around him. Who can he trust? Who is secretly working against him? Every familiar face starts to feel like a potential enemy. Is this person really loyal, or are they just waiting for the right moment to turn on him? The walls close in around him, and for the first time in a long while, Thanos feels something that he thought he had long since conquered: fear. The crushing, suffocating weight of fear. One night, in the quiet isolation of his ship, he receives another message. This one is different. There's no encryption, no mystery about who it's from. The message is direct, personal, and it sends a chill down his spine. You're too far gone now, Thanos. The truth you're chasing won't save you. There's no way out, no way back. The message ends abruptly, as if the sender had been waiting for him to reach this point, to finally understand that he's made a grave mistake. His mind races as he stares at the screen, the words etched into his brain. The tone of the message is clear. Whoever sent this knows him, knows his weaknesses, and is playing a game that he doesn't understand. But what does this mean? Who is behind all of this? And why is the universe, the very thing he once believed was under his control, now slipping through his grasp like water? His thoughts spiral, and he's overwhelmed by the realization that the mystery he's been chasing is far darker and more dangerous than he could have ever imagined. The stakes are no longer just about power or control. They're about survival. His every move could be his last. The universe is unraveling around him, and the more he digs, the deeper the conspiracy goes. He's not just being hunted by the forces of space and time. He's being hunted by something far more insidious, something that has been waiting in the shadows for a long time. But who is it? And why has Thanos, the mighty Mad Titan, become the prey in this deadly game? As the silence of space stretches on, Thanos is left with only one question that haunts him more than anything else. Am I the hunter? Or am I the one being hunted? The answer seems to slip further and further away with each passing moment, leaving him on the edge of something far more terrifying than anything he's ever faced before. Just when Thanos thought the walls were closing in on him, just when he was ready to accept that everything was spiraling out of his control, something happened that no one could have predicted. It started as a whisper, a fleeting thought at the back of his mind, but over time it grew into something undeniable. Perhaps he was wrong all along. For so long, he had believed the universe was trying to destroy him, that some unseen enemy was orchestrating his downfall, manipulating every event to trap him in a web of lies. But what if that wasn't the truth? What if the true danger wasn't something external at all, but something much closer, something he had overlooked for so long? It came to him in a sudden, jarring moment of clarity. The missing ally, the one who had disappeared without a trace. What if their disappearance wasn't random? What if they hadn't been taken at all? What if they had left on their own? Thanos had spent days, weeks, chasing false leads, convinced that someone was hunting him. But what if it was him who had been the target all along, not from external force, but from within his own circle? What if, in his obsessive pursuit of the truth, he had missed the one thing that could shatter everything, the truth about the people closest to him? And that's when it hit him, a thought so terrifying that it nearly stopped his heart. The person he trusted most, the one who had stood by him through every battle, through every decision, was the one who had been manipulating him from the very beginning. The realization sent a shockwave through him. He remembered every moment, every conversation, every subtle gesture that he had dismissed as insignificant, now coming together to form a terrifying picture. The missing ally hadn't been abducted. They had left because they had orchestrated everything. Every choice he made, every step he took, had been subtly influenced by them. The ally wasn't victim. They were the one pulling the strings all along. It wasn't just a betrayal. It was a masterful play, a calculated maneuver that had played on his trust and his belief in his own invincibility. The person closest to him had been playing a game that Thanos couldn't even begin to understand. The universe wasn't unraveling because of some grand cosmic force. It was unraveling because of the choices this one person had made, choices that were now circling back to haunt him in the most destructive way possible. Thanos had been a puppet, and the strings were in the hands of someone he never suspected. But the true horror came when Thanos uncovered the final piece of the puzzle. He found a hidden message, encrypted, buried deep within a system that only this ally had access to. It was a confession, an admission that everything he thought he was doing, every step he had taken, had been guided by the very person he had trusted above all others. The message didn't just confirm his worst fears. It revealed something far more sinister. The entire plan, the quest for power, the search for the truth, had all been a setup to push him to the edge, to break him, to turn him into the monster they always knew he could be. It was no longer about stopping him. It was about using him. Thanos had been the tool all along, the perfect weapon for whatever twisted goal his ally had in mind. The twist was almost too much to comprehend. The very person Thanos had counted on to help him navigate the chaos of the universe was the one who had been the architect of that chaos. His trust had been nothing more than a weapon, sharpened and used against him at every turn. And now, with the truth in front of him, Thanos was forced to face the terrifying realization that he was not the mastermind of his own fate. The ultimate enemy wasn't some force of nature, wasn't some unknown cosmic entity. It was someone he had fought alongside, someone who knew him better than anyone else. But even worse, the message didn't end there. The final line sent a shiver down his spine. You were never meant to find out. Now that you have, you can't be allowed to live. The threat was clear. His ally, no, his betrayer, had already set the wheels in motion. Thanos was no longer just a pawn in their game. He was now the target, and the forces that had once aligned with him were turning against him. But who could he trust now? Every face, every voice, every ally in his past was suddenly suspect. The war he was about to face wasn't one against the universe. It was against everything he thought he knew. And the worst part? He still didn't know who was truly in control of this twisted game. As the dark realization sank in, the stakes rose higher than ever. Thanos was trapped in a nightmare of his own making, and he had no idea how to escape it. You said, the walls of Thanos' world are closing in, and with each passing day, the pressure mounts. He thought he'd seen everything, that he had walked through every battle, faced every betrayal, and emerged victorious. But this was different. This wasn't about victory or control. It was about survival. The people he once trusted, the ones who stood by his side and fought with him, had turned into shadows in his life, hiding secrets and turning the universe itself into a web of deceit. He was caught in a game where every move he made seemed to lead him further into danger, and every person he tried to trust only deepened the mystery. But nothing prepared him for the moment that would force him to face an impossible choice, a choice that could shatter everything he believed in. It starts when he confronts the one person he thought he could trust above all others, a companion, someone who had been with him from the beginning, someone who knew him better than anyone else, had been the architect of his misery all along. Thanos had pieced together the fragments of the puzzle, and it all pointed to them. It was time to confront the truth head-on, to demand answers that had eluded him for so long. He had always believed that they were allies, that they shared the same goals, but now he understood he had been played. The person who had stood by him, who had shared in his triumphs and failures, had been using him from the very start. And now the game was up, but confronting them, demanding the truth, was no simple task. The very act of facing them would mean unraveling everything, exposing the deepest betrayal of his life. And with that exposure came a risk. The risk that he would lose the last shred of trust he had in the universe, that everything he had worked for would be for nothing. The confrontation doesn't go as planned. The tension is thick, suffocating, as Thanos stands before this person, the weight of his accusation hanging in the air. The words he speaks feel like poison, but they are necessary. He demands the truth. And then, just when he thinks he's about to get the answers he so desperately needs, the unexpected happens. They don't deny it. Instead, they smile, a cold, calculating smile that sends a chill down his spine. The revelation hits him like a ton of bricks. Not only had they been using him, but they had orchestrated everything from the very beginning. Every battle, every decision, had been carefully manipulated to shape him into the perfect weapon for a plan that Thanos hadn't even begun to understand. The truth he had been chasing wasn't meant to set him free. It was meant to break him down, to strip away his power, his identity, piece by piece, until there was nothing left. But even that revelation pales in comparison to what happens next. Just as the confrontation reaches its boiling point, a new, devastating message arrives. This time, it's not a warning. Is an ultimatum. The universe, or at least the forces controlling it, have given him a choice: his safety or the truth. The message is clear. If Thanos continues down this path, if he dares uncover the full extent of conspiracy surrounding him, he will lose everything. The people he loves, the ones he still holds dear, will be taken from him, one by one. They will be used as leverage, pawns in a game he has no control over. The price of the truth is too high. He must choose. Continue to dig into the mystery, risk losing everyone he's ever known, and potentially set off a chain of events that could destroy the very fabric of the universe, or turn away, bury the truth, and save those he cares about. The choice is a cruel one, and the weight of it presses on him like an anchor, dragging him deeper into the abyss. Thanos has faced impossible choices before, but never one like this. The truth has always been his guiding star, the thing that drove him, that kept him going through every battle. But now that same truth could tear apart everything he holds dear. The emotions he's been hiding for so long, his fear, his rage, his love for those he's lost, begin to surface in ways he's never felt before. This isn't just a question of power anymore. It's a question of sacrifice, of who he's willing to lose and who he's willing to become in the process. In that moment, it's not just about the truth anymore. It's about his soul. The realization sets in with a gut-wrenching clarity. No matter what he chooses, something precious will be lost. The question is no longer whether he can win this war. It's whether he's willing to pay the price. Can he bear the weight of what he must do next? Is the truth worth the destruction it will bring? The universe has already given its answer, and now Thanos must decide whether he'll accept it or try to fight against the inevitable, knowing full well that it could cost him everything. His mind races. His emotions are a whirlwind, and the walls close in tighter than ever before. The choice is his, but no matter what he decides, the consequences will haunt him forever. And in that moment, with everything hanging in the balance, he realizes that the real battle is not against the universe. It's against himself. The gravity of the situation sinks in deeper than Thanos ever thought possible. The walls he'd been pushing against, the conspiracy he'd been unraveling, are not just his own problem anymore. As the hours tick by, he begins to realize the extent of the forces working against him. What was once a shadowy, personal betrayal has now grown into a full-blown war, and it's one he might not even have been aware of until it was too late. He had believed that his struggle was isolated, that his quest for truth was the driving force behind everything. But now, with every new piece of information, it becomes painfully clear this wasn't just about him. This was about something much larger, something far more dangerous than he had ever expected. The entire universe, it seems, has been a stage for a far more complex and brutal game, one in which Thanos is but a pawn, not a player. The first sign that the conspiracy was bigger than he realized came when an old ally, someone who had been with him from the beginning, arrived with a desperate warning. Their face, usually calm and composed, was now etched with fear. They told him to stop digging, to let go of his obsession with the truth, because it was no longer just a fight for survival. It was a fight for the fate of the entire universe. "You have no idea how deep this goes," they said, their voice trembling. But as they spoke, Thanos could see the truth beginning to unfold in front of him. Every ally, every friend, every person he had ever trusted now seemed to be hiding something. They were all connected, all part of this vast, shadowy web of lies. And then, in a horrifying flash of realization, he sees it. The people who have been closest to him, the ones he thought would never betray him, are not just involved. They're orchestrating the very downfall he's fighting against. His oldest friend, the one who had been standing by him, claiming to share his ideals, was revealed to be the mastermind behind it all. The betrayal hits like a blow to the gut. Everything that had happened up until now, the disappearances, the manipulation, the cryptic messages, and the escalating threats, was all part of a grand scheme, a scheme that had been unfolding for years. The strings weren't just being pulled by a faceless enemy. They had always been in the hands of someone Thanos had trusted completely. His friend's face shifts from one of concern to one of cold indifference. "You were never meant to win, Thanos. You were meant to destroy yourself," they confess, the words chilling him to his core. "You were the perfect pawn to execute the final act of a plan we've all been working toward. And now you've played right into our hands." The weight of the revelation hits him like a sledgehammer, but before he can process it, the full scale of the conspiracy crashes down on him. This wasn't just a personal vendetta. It wasn't just about him being used as a tool. The betrayal ran so much deeper. This was about reshaping the very fabric of the universe, turning it into something unrecognizable, something new, a world under their control, a world where everyone, including Thanos, would serve their purpose and no one's fate would be their own. But it doesn't stop there. As if things weren't already dire enough, the scope of the conspiracy expands even further. The very forces he had once believed to be his enemies, the ones he'd been fighting against in secret, were not only part of the plan. They had been working with his closest allies all along. Every battle, every decision he had made, had been set up for him to lose. The threads of conspiracy stretched across galaxies, connecting groups he thought were enemies, groups he believed had no connection to each other. The destruction, the manipulation, it wasn't just about power. It was about control. Control over him. Control over everything. He wasn't just a pawn. He was a catalyst, the spark that would ignite the war they needed to create their new world order. The room around him feels like it's closing in, the pressure mounting to unbearable levels. Thanos can feel the betrayal gnawing at him, can feel the weight of everything that has led him to this moment. His body trembles with the realization that every ally he had trusted, every decision he had made, was part of a game where he was never meant to win. The stakes have escalated to unimaginable heights, and now, Thanos is caught in a race against time. The walls are closing in, and the universe, or what's left of it, is about to tear itself apart. The fight isn't just for survival anymore. It's for the very soul of the universe. And now Thanos must decide if he's willing to sacrifice everything, even his own humanity, to bring down the forces that have been using him all along. But as the clock ticks down, one thing is clear. The conspiracy has already spread too far. There's no way to stop it. Or is there? The truth is elusive, and the only way out may be deeper into chaos than Thanos ever thought possible. The air was thick with anticipation as Thanos stood on the precipice of his final confrontation. Every decision, every twist, every betrayal had led him here, to this moment where the stakes were higher than ever. The universe, fractured by lies and deceit, seemed to hang in the balance, its fate intertwined with the choices he was about to make. His mind raced as he pieced together the last fragment of the puzzle. But the truth he had uncovered was far darker, more complex, and infinitely more dangerous than he could have ever imagined. As he entered the room where everything would be decided, he was prepared for one last battle. This wasn't just about defeating an enemy. It was about confronting the very forces that had manipulated him from the beginning, the ones who had used him as a pawn in a game he was never meant to win. His betrayer, his once trusted ally, stood at the far end of the room, an almost serene expression on their face. Their eyes locked, and for a fleeting moment, Thanos saw something that resembled pity in their gaze. "You should have let it go, Thanos," they said, their voice smooth cold. "You should have known that seeking the truth was always going to cost you everything. You should have known that it was never yours to find." Thanos felt the weight of those words, but it wasn't the first time he'd been deceived. What his ally didn't know was that the final piece of the puzzle had already fallen into place. The evidence, hidden for so long, buried under layers of manipulation and lies, was now in his hands. He had tracked down the true source of the conspiracy, and the revelation made his blood run cold. It wasn't just a few trusted allies who had turned against him. It wasn't just a singular betrayal. The entire system, the entire order he had once fought to protect, had been corrupted at its core. His old friends had been working for something much bigger, something beyond even the power struggles of the universe. They weren't trying to break him. They were trying to create a new world order, one where he would either be their tool or their enemy. And in the end, they wanted him to destroy everything he had ever fought for. As his allies spoke, Thanos' mind raced, but his emotions remained as sharp as ever. Every muscle in his body tensed, preparing for the inevitable. "You didn't have to do this," Thanos growled, his voice trembling with a mix of anger and regret. "All of it, everything that happened, was just a lie. You used me, betrayed me, manipulated me, and for what? Power? Control? To reshape the universe." The response came with a chilling smile, one that sent shivers down his spine. Power? Control? No, Thanos. We were never interested in that. We sought something far more powerful. Freedom. Freedom from the constraints of the old order, from the limitations of fate and destiny. The universe is a cage, and you were the perfect key to break its bars. The words lingered in the air, a twisted confession that made Thanos question everything. Had he been nothing more than a tool in a game he could never comprehend? And then, as the realization hit him like a wave, everything changed. The final twist, the one Thanos hadn't seen coming, was almost too much to bear. His betrayer wasn't just one person. It was them. All of them. Thanos had spent so much time focusing on the individuals who had wronged him that he failed to see the bigger picture. The truth wasn't just buried in the actions of a few. It was ingrained in the very fabric of society he had once fought to protect. The corruption ran deeper than he ever imagined. The very system he sought to uphold was built on lies, and the person standing before him was just one piece of a much larger puzzle, a puzzle whose true purpose was to break the chains of power, to burn the old order to ground, and build something entirely new in its place. Thanos had been played, but now he had a choice to make, one last, impossible choice. His hands shook as the reality of his situation sank in. He could expose the truth, force the universe to see the corruption that lay at its heart, but doing so would obliterate everything he had ever fought for. The very people who depended on him, who believed in him, would be torn apart by the revelation. Or he could align himself with those who betrayed him, join them in their vision for a new world, a world built from the ashes of the old, but at the cost of everything he had ever stood for. In that moment, Thanos understood the true nature of his fight. It wasn't about good or evil, right or wrong. It wasn't about winning or losing. It was about choosing who he would become, what kind of man he would be in the face of unimaginable betrayal and loss. The fate of the universe hung on his next move, and as he stood there, the weight of the decision pressing down on him like never before, he made his choice. But just as he was about to act, a final twist struck, something so unexpected that it sent shockwaves through the room. The very people he thought he could trust, the ones who had stood by him through thick and thin, revealed their true colors. They weren't allies. They weren't enemies. They were tools, just like him. And in that moment, Thanos realized the most terrifying truth of all. There was no winning. Not anymore. There was only survival. And even that was slipping through his fingers like sand. The universe was already lost. And in trying to save it, he had sealed his own fate in the aftermath of the chaos. Thanos stood alone amidst the ruins of everything he had once known. The universe, shattered by deceit and betrayal, seemed like an echo of its former self, twisted beyond recognition. The faces of his fallen allies, the allies who had turned on him, flickered in his mind like shadows. Their voices, their lies, their promises, all were gone now, buried beneath the weight of his decisions. Yet, as he gazed into the vast, empty expanse before him, something within him stirred, something he hadn't felt in years. It was a quiet, painful understanding that perhaps, in this destruction, there was also a chance for something new. The war was over, and in the silence that followed, the consequences of his choices began to settle in. The truth he had fought so hard to uncover had finally been revealed, but it came with a price, one that he would pay for the rest of his days. The revelation was simple, yet it carried with it the crushing weight of everything he had lost. There would be no rebuilding, no restoration of the old order. The universe had changed forever, and so had he. Thanos had always believed that power was the key to control, that if he could conquer enough, he could shape the universe in his image. But in the end, he realized that true power wasn't in domination. It was in understanding. Understanding the choices we make, the consequences that follow, and the price we're willing to pay for the truth. As the last remnant of the empire he once sought to rule crumbled around him, Thanos finally saw the futility in chasing after things that couldn't be held. The truth, after all, wasn't just about winning or losing. It was about the cost of those victories and the sacrifices that came with them. The price was higher than he had ever imagined, but in a strange way, it was liberating. The guilt that had haunted him for so long began to fade, replaced by a quiet resolve. He had done what he could. He had fought for what he believed was right, even when it felt like the universe itself was working against him. And in that moment, as the dust settled and the world around him lay in ruins, he finally understood that peace wasn't something you could conquer. It was something you had to make with the pieces you had left. But the journey didn't end there. Even after all he had endured, Thanos knew that there was still more to come. The mysteries he had unraveled, the betrayals he had witnessed, would never leave him.